All right, let's kick things off with a question that honestly messes with everything we think we know about, well, beginnings. What if it didn't really begin at all? What if it's always been here, just, in different forms? And what if the Big Bang wasn't the starting pistol, but just one chapter in a cosmic story that's way, way bigger? Yeah, today we are diving headfirst into one of the biggest mysteries out there. What, if anything, existed before the Big Bang? Okay, but before we get into all the wild theories, we've got to wrap our heads around why this question is so weirdly difficult. It's way trickier than it sounds. So, first things first, let's clear up a massive misconception. When you hear Big Bang, you probably picture a huge explosion in space, right? Well, that's not how physicists see it at all. For them, it wasn't an explosion in space. It was the expansion of space and time itself, all from this unbelievably hot, dense state. And that's where the problem really starts. I love this quote from Stephen Hawking because it just nails it. If time itself was born in the Big Bang, then asking what came before is kind of meaningless. It's literally like asking what's south of the South Pole. There is no south of the South Pole. The concept just breaks. But, scientists, a little paradox like the beginning of time itself isn't going to stop them. And they've come up with some absolutely incredible theories that try to get around this problem. And trust me, each one paints a completely different picture of where we came from. All right, so let's jump into our first big idea. It comes from the legendary Stephen Hawking, and it might just be the boldest one of the bunch. So Hawking and his colleague James Hartle had this vision of the universe shaped kind of like a badminton shuttlecock, smooth and rounded at the bottom. It comes to a point of zero size, sure, but it's not a sharp, pointy, violent beginning. It's smooth. It just is. And this is the key takeaway here. In this no-boundary model, there is no starting line. There's no moment you can point to and say, that's it, that's when it all began. Instead, time as we know it sort of fades into existence from a state that was purely spatial, a state that had no time. So you can't have a before if the very concept of time hasn't even emerged yet. Okay, so that's one possibility. But let's look at another theory that flips that idea on its head. This one says our universe is definitely not the first, and it won't be the last either. This is the idea of the Great Cosmic Bounce. The Big Bang wasn't a beginning at all. It was a bounce. Imagine this, a whole other universe existed before ours. It expanded, lived its life, and then gravity pulled it all back together in a big crunch. But instead of just ending in a single point, it gets super dense and then boing! It rebounds, exploding outward again to become our universe. In this view, time just loops forever. So what's the big deal about a bounce versus a singularity? Well, the huge advantage of the bounce model is that it avoids what physicists call the singularity, this theoretical point of infinite density where all our known laws of physics just completely break down. They just stop working. With the bounce, the universe gets ridiculously dense, for sure, but it never hits that wall. It just springs back. Okay, ready for the next one? This theory takes things even further. It suggests that our universe isn't special at all. In fact, it might just be one little bubble in an infinite cosmic ocean. This is called eternal inflation. The idea is that before us, there was this gigantic parent space, this cosmic foam that is always expanding, always inflating forever. It never stops. And here's the cool part. Inside this eternally inflating foam, tiny quantum jitters can cause little patches to suddenly stop inflating so fast and pop, a new bubble universe is born. Each bubble has its own Big Bang. So from this point of view, before our Big Bang was just the ongoing existence of this bigger multiverse. Our universe was just the latest bubble to pop into existence. Okay, our last theory is, well, it's a real mind-bender. It comes from the cutting-edge field of quantum gravity, and it might be the most profound one yet. It basically asks us to throw out our everyday ideas about reality itself. Physicist Carlo Rovelli has this beautiful way of putting it. He says we should think of the world as being made of happenings, not things. A kiss isn't a thing, it's an event, a happening. He argues that even a stone isn't really a thing, it's just a very, very slow happening. Reality is a dance of interactions. So if you follow that logic, time isn't fundamental. It's not a basic ingredient of the universe. It's an emergent property. Think about it like up and down. Those words only have meaning because we're on a giant planet with gravity. In the same way, time might only emerge when the universe gets big and complex enough for these happenings to line up in a sequence we can measure. So before the Big Bang, it wasn't a period of time. It was a timeless, fuzzy quantum soup of possibilities.
Wow. Okay. So after going through all of these absolutely brain-melting ideas, where does that leave us? What really was there before the Big Bang?
Well, we've got some wild possibilities on the table, right? Maybe there was no before, just a smooth, timeless state. Or maybe there was another universe before ours, caught in an endless cycle of bouncing. Or hey, maybe we're just one bubble in an infinite cosmic foam. Or just maybe it was a quantum realm where time hadn't even woken up yet.
The truth is, we don't know. Not for sure. Each of these ideas is right at the bleeding edge of what we understand. But the investigation itself, this incredible story of science, of peering back to the dawn of time, is one of the greatest adventures we've ever been on. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. If our universe is just one of these possibilities, which cosmic story do you think is the one waiting to be proven true? The quest to figure that out, well, that journey keeps expanding, just like the universe itself.